Hi everyone, my name is Sunyoung. In this webinar, I will present my research on South Korean internet freaks and cultural politics. I'm a cultural anthropologist specializing in new media and technology. This research started as my Ph.D. dissertation fieldwork 2008 and 2009. While writing my dissertation, I continued to follow up on the changes in my specific field site, isinside.com, as well as the broader internet universe in South Korea in relation to social changes in the real world. I went back to South Korea for follow-up research in summer 2017, supported by CERCLL's research grant. Thanks a lot, CERCLL. Today, I will be exploring how internet users go online to craft images of themselves as a social outcast, and in doing so, find an outlet to express themselves and their views on a society that rejected them and makes them feel like outcasts. In the first section, I will start my talk with the introduction of the culture of Korean internet users who call themselves internet freaks, alongside the historical background of the development of the internet in South Korea. In the second section, I will discuss the research method and theories I have used. I will not go into great detail about internet freak cultures today. Rather, I want to show you how my research on internet freaks is situated within the broader context of Korean online communities, as well as the real world or offline world political economy. So, in the third section, I will discuss my main argument, which is the implication of looser aesthetics of South Korean internet freaks. In the fourth section, I will show how my initial research connects to more recent events. Even after completing my fieldwork in South Korea, I have continued to follow changes in my field site online. In the summer of 2017, I was able to connect my online participant observation to the offline world through my follow-up research. In the fifth section, I include interviews I conducted during my follow-up research. In the last section, I examined the implications of the cultural politics of South Korean internet users based on my long-term participant observation of the internet universe. Internet freak culture interests me because of the particular social context of South Korea within which the internet has developed. The internet in South Korea developed quite rapidly, to say the least, as within 10 years, from 1997 to 2007. More than 90% of the household came to have a high-speed broadband internet, and 72% of the entire population became internet users. The popularization of the internet in South Korea that had been gathering speed since the middle of the 1990s came to coincide with the social changes Koreans experienced as of the Asian financial crisis in 1997. The Asian financial crisis triggered a fear of losing national competitiveness and legitimated a large-scale restructuring of the South Korean economy, and the internet offered one of the important discursive grounds for restructuring in terms of the new economy or knowledge economy. South Korean internet users, who have been blessed with the rapid development of new technologies, are the same people who have struggled with rapid socio-economic change following the Asian financial crisis. The threat of dropping through the social ranks is as powerful or fear as the actuality. Precarity of employment and social status operates as the meta condition of life. Precarity is not just a state or feeling that accompanies economic instability. Rather, it takes on specific cultural formations. The label of internet freaks, internet pain, in Korean, first emerged in the early 2000s when South Korea was experiencing the rapid development of the internet as well as the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis. The internet freaks I focused on in my ethnography gather on a website called dcinside.com. This Inside is known as the most popular anonymous internet forum, as well as one of the most popular internet portal services in South Korea. On this Inside, these users produce and comment on each other's posts, including plain text, photos, cartoons, composed images, and audio and video clips. It is through both the textual content and the extensive commenting that the particular freak subjectivity came to be formed. The post of the internet freaks on this insight started to become popular not only online but also through offline media across the country because of their unique stylization and content. These posts creatively and sarcastically comment on the poor and unpromising lives of many South Koreans who were experiencing the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis. These insider users create and promote the images of new social types, such as the social loser, freak, and surplus population. These styles are counter to the positive, unrealistic image of the self motivated and highly successful subject. To give you a clear idea about the particular ways that internet freaks craft their image, I show you here one well circulated image. This image shows an anonymous user of this insight who has uploaded a photo of himself using the internet. The small portable table holding a bowl of cooked rice and several humble sided dishes is located in front of his desk. He is holding a mouse in his left hand and he is a spoon in his right hand. He is reading something from thisinside.com. The caption of this photo says, "You who cannot leave the internet for 1 minute, you are a freak." In Korean, pain. The caption parodies a TV commercial for the services of a major South Korean telecom company. This advertisement shows Woo Sung-jung, a South Korean actor who is famous for being good looking, tall, fit, and fashionable, dressed in a formal shirt and necktie. He talks on his mobile phone while dancing in a fancy crowded club. The narrator speaks over the scene, saying, "You, who cannot leave your mobile phone for 1 minute because of your career, because of your love of every single minute, you are number one." I translated a main, an English word this commercial actually used into number one. So, the freak, the Korean term pain, meaning freaks, is a pun on the word main in the commercial. While the original text of the advertisement focuses on showing the busy, passionate, and successful life of one man who is at the center and is the driving force of both his life and society, the parodied photo on this inside shows the bleak scenery of everyday living as mediated by new technology. This parody photo was a big hit, with other users in this inside uploading their own versions of the photos, mimicking and further parodying the original parody. If you see the laptop screen in the photo on the left, you can see this person is looking at the original parody photo. You can find another parody photo in which a user is looking at this parody photo. While many South Koreans were convinced to aspire to cultivating a new kind of Western inspired consumer aesthetics, marked by plastic surgery, K pop, and digital electronics, users online were revealing a different reality. They cultivated what I call loser aesthetics. Through forms of ironic self mockery, these posts subverted dominant economic narratives by showing the reality of life in so-called information society. The data collection methods of my research include archival research, participant observation, and in-depth interviews. I built upon many different theories, which I didn't set out with, but did end up with to interpret the phenomenon of internet freaks in its fullness and sort all the complications out. My main interest is examining how the significant influence of the internet development and neoliberal restructuring are related to and have influenced each other in South Korea. I explored the development of the internet, the growth of online user communities and cultures, and the formation of a new river subject as South Koreans became internet users. Marxist scholars have dealt with the neoliberalism by trying to examine this new political agenda and the rationale for it. Parodied scholars have also analyzed neoliberalism by means of the concepts of governmentality and technologies of the self. To uncover the political meaning underlying the internet free culture, I find Jacques Langev's theory of politics of aesthetics useful. The culture of this insight shows how, until now, powerless groups, at least from conventional perspectives and evaluations, are able to find ways to speak out by bringing about new modes of sense perception and novel forms of political subjectivity using new technologies. While Langev's work offers useful conceptual tools to consider the implications of a post produced by these inside users, the element missing from Langev's work when addressing my subject matter is a rationale that explains why these insiders use such loser-like characters and deliberately shoddy styles to constitute their aesthetics instead of some other form of self-expression. To make up for this shortfall, Mihail Bakhtin's notion of a carnival can be used. The various characters which are produced, circulated, and are popular on this inside are mockingly comic, absurd, and grotesque figures, and they shape this inside into a space similar to Bakhtin's carnival. Much like Bakhtin's carnival, I find the laughter in this inside is also a rejection of a fear and a rebellion against the mystifying world power. I also build on Judith Butler's notion of a performativity to examine how female internet freaks question and challenge gender ideologies through their transgression of different gender norms based on hegemonic conventions of masculinity and femininity. So, what are the implications of a loser aesthetic? During my fieldwork, I interviewed an activist inside user who goes by the name Baby Chick several times. When we first met, Baby Chick was a 21-year-old college student studying journalism in the Philippines. She was quite opinionate on many issues because of her experience as an active fan of an idol group as well as a DC insight. In one interview, Baby Chick says, quote, the cultures of DC inside are unique. I mean, their unique pathetic spirit, 찌질함, is so intriguing. While other fan clubs crave cool and impressive pictures of their stars, we are posting crappy one, but funny shots. You know, this inside is located in the underground culture, which we call a semi-basement culture, 반지하 문화. Since it is an underground culture, it has its own creativity and gist, which other website can't imitate. I really love its pathetic and humorous spirit. End quote. Let me briefly explain about the word pathetic, which is one of the most popular words on this inside and deeply related to the sentiment loser aesthetic. Being pathetic is an English translation of the Korean expression 찌질하다 or 지질하다. This expression became popular among internet users to indicate a situation or a person in some sense lacking in dignity or the shameful or embarrassed emotion arising from or within such a situation or person. The popularity of this expression reflects the social atmosphere and users' shared feelings toward their lives. As Baby Chick points out, what decides the unique culture of this insight is its pathetic and humorous spirit, which is reflected in the grotesque and comical character of internet freaks. This spirit is pervasive in most of the posts on the website and plays a role in creating a common ground for a shared sense of humor and laughter characteristic of this particular group. The loser aesthetics of this insight is deeply related to the social changes that liberalization has brought about. The sentiment of being a loser reflects on the incredible social pressure on subjects to be successful and self responsible and sufficient while being competitive and a winner. Their self reflexive and self mocking insights have culminated in the politics of loser aesthetics, turning this insight into a cannibalistic space where social losers take up power and challenge the components of the dominant social order, such as class and gender, using laughter to overcome the fear of the official word and its power. Field research can be a never ending endeavor if you do research on online communities and cultures. I have followed the progress of this insight while keeping in touch with my interviews in the years since I completed my initial field research. During these intervening years, I have observed the emergence of several online communities derived from this insight. Ilbe.com and Megalia.com are the most popular and controversial ones. The politics on the internet had been rather progressive than conservative for a long time, but this tendency started changing in the 2010s. Ilbe is an abbreviation of a website titled The Best Daily Post Archive of This Insight, 일간 베스트 저장소. This website has progressively gained popularity as a representative right-wing group of the South Korean internet and parallels the victories of conservative parties in national elections in the past decade. Despite the fact that this insider promotes itself as a culture of anything goes, the extreme and slanderous posts by right-wing members led to forms of censorship and regulation by other various members of thisInside.com. Due to the censorship of anything goes culture, a small group of disgruntled users created Ilbe. The site has evolved into an extreme right-wing forum in which posts slander and target minority groups including women, foreign workers, and those from certain rural areas. Members of Ilbe denounce these people as undeserving interlopers on the wealth of South Korea, stealing jobs and tax money from South Korea's productive members. They're men from certain areas. My interest in Ilbe crystallized after an event in which Ilbe members expanded from their online space into the offline world, and in doing so, brought about a huge public sensation in South Korean society. On September 9th, 2014, Ilbe users gathered in Seoul Square for an overeating strike, 폭식투쟁, setting themselves symbolically against a hunger strike taking place nearby by groups of parents protesting after having lost their children in the Sewol ferry disaster of April 16, 2014. What was striking about Ilbe's overeating demonstration was the way in which important components of the internet politics and aesthetics, such as humor and satire, the culture of anything goes, and deliberately shoddy styles, have created a new style of political action on the part of the right wing. The activities of Ilbe users show how seemingly similar formats of cultural politics can be used both to open and suppress a space for different voices. Their extremist actions show not only the discontent and dissensus that can take place within loser aesthetics, but how these can become reactionary towards loser aesthetics by means of people taking up the position of winners by differentiating themselves from disadvantaged groups, such as women, foreign workers, and people from less privileged regions. I examined the contours of the culture of Ilbe as a assemblage of extreme ideas, reflecting freedom of speech and political conservatism, and in part the result of rapid social and political and economic changes and the demands placed on individuals' subject to development. Ilbe has become a site for venting collective frustration. Unfortunately, it does so by blaming socially disadvantaged groups for the difficulties that they face in their own livelihood. Ilbe's misogyny is notorious. The common sentiment uniting Ilbe users is abhorrence of anyone they feel are free riders. Ilbe users definitely view South Korean women as free riders, because even though women are exempted from certain societal duties, such as mandatory military service, they expect a hard-working man to support their extravagant and parasitic lifestyle by making men pay for expensive dinners and presents. Kimchinya, literally meaning kimchi woman, or more crudely, kimchi beach, and 된장녀, literally meaning soy paste women, or the harsher 된장 beach, are slang for South Korean women of a gold digger persuasion. Male dominant galleries of this insider took a leading role in online misogyny, but now Ilbe has come along and is even more aggressively misogynistic. Ilbe uses graphic imagery to illustrate and explain in detail the common features these kimchi women share. Hairstyles that imitated those of desirable Japanese women, the South Korean male internet users call sushi women, which in this case it is a positive label. Thick eyeliner used to hide the plastic surgery they have had on their eyelids, gestures as if they say, "Oh no," in English to show off their experience of foreign cultures. Slutty clothes that show their bosoms because kimchi women are gold diggers using their looks for financial gain. And an absolute must, the Starbucks coffee, synonymous with the culture of upper middle class. You can see how detailed and specific these male users' biased observation of South Korean women are. Ilbe appeared in 2010 as an extreme right-wing and sexist group. There was a backlash in 2015 that spawned this inside radical feminist group. In the beginning, this feminist reaction was not intentionally political. Both this insider and Ilbe have female users, despite their sexist and misogynist cultures, because female users enjoy the feelings of emancipation when they use a speech style similar to men that goes against the gender expectations and norms imposed on women. Female users in general are particularly active in popular culture and celebrity galleries on this inside. As I discuss in my book manuscript, fandom has a long history as a female dominant culture in South Korea, and due to their fandom, South Korean female fans have been stigmatized and looked down upon. Female fans have developed a tough skin as a result of the attacks on them, and in some cases, have been become the attackers. One mid-30s male user posted a question asking for advice from a female-led male entertainers gallery, 남자 연예인 gallery on this inside. He asked how to invite his 20-year-old coworker out on a date. The harsh replies he got told him that he was too old for her, he was an old pervert, he should leave the 20-year-old coworker alone and not make things awkward for her at her place of work, etc. Mutually harsh criticism between this man and the female gallery users continued. These female users started calling him 강 된장남, literally extra strong soy paste man. They were furious even after this man left the gallery. So the furious female fan inside users found an outlet for their rage by entering other galleries and post non-stop sexist attacks on men. It is quite a common activity on this inside to occupy other galleries and attack those there through endlessly relevant posts. A newly opened gallery that focused on MERS, Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, which was a nationwide epidemic in May 2015, became the home base for these female fan insider users who took great pleasure in reversing the existing post and speech style of male users regarding South Korean women and using those same words and attitude to slander South Korean men. Their reverse sexist post became popular and enticed many female internet users from different backgrounds to join, which eventually developed into radical feminist activism online. These female internet users eventually started a website called Megalian.com, which has now ceased to exist because it split into several subgroups based on different political stances. Have you read the Norwegian novel Igalia's Daughters? In this novel, the gender power relations of our world are reversed. Women have the power and men are subordinate. This radical feminist group named themselves after this novel, and true to the book, they have literally reversed the Ilbe users' post that slander women. Twisting Ilbe users' sexist judgments on women based on their looks. Megalians treatment, particularly South Korean men, as nothing more than their penis, tiny ones according to this figure, showing comparison with the other countries. So both Koreas are located here at the very bottom. Megalians made their logo to express that. Here is one of the most popular examples of a sexist post that are the reverse of those written by male internet users about women. This post is a satire on South Korean men's long-lasting obsession on virginity of their wives. These reversed sexist posts started to be called mirroring, a tactic used in gender politics. Although online communities have given male sexists a forum, it at the same time has enabled women to gather together and collectively react to sexism and misogyny. While a greater variety of groups have emerged online, South Korea has gone through political and economic turmoil since 2016. Some of you probably have heard of the presidential impeachment and arrest, as well as the arrest of Samsung owner. To bring an end to such a huge political and economic scandal and bring about justice, many South Koreans had to spend their weekends on the streets for 4 months during the cold winter. Just like Ilbe, extreme right-wing groups have also taken to the streets to express their discontent, marches that are mainly made up by older generations. See these photos. They love the United States and President Donald Trump. In this research, I will share several interviews I conducted during the follow-up research in May and June 2017. I interviewed six of my former interviewees who I met on this insight and six new interviews for Ilbe and Megalia. Noreen and Madeline were my former interviewees. I met them in the female-led Lee Jung-gi Gallery on this inside, the gallery that has grown into one of the most successful and popular galleries since the late 2000s by employing the same tactics, cultures, and style of male-dominated fora. Noreen and Madeline were active participants in this gallery. I wrote a couple of chapters describing the gender politics of this group, as well as just how precarious the lives of my interviewees are in terms of employment and financial situation. Noreen was still in a precarious job situation while preparing for a civil service exam, whereas Madeline changed her job several times over the years and was finally found a job at fashion model agency that suited her. Noreen wanted to have a civil service job in a government-run kindergarten since she'd been unfairly overworked at a private after-school institute of fine art. Madeline also had experience with being overworked and exploited, which made her decide she didn't want to have a job that was too demanding. Even though they found popular culture was enjoyable divergence from real-world worries, uncertainty over job security still troubled their lives. I participated in a collaborative project to publish a drama review book on the soap opera Painter of the Wind, 바람의 화원, which originated as a gallery in this inside with the same name. I met many of my interviews through this collaborative project and wrote a chapter exposing the unpaid creative immaterial labor of youth who are encouraged and forced to become creative subjects. Of the three former interviewees I met through this collaboration, all women in their 20s and early 30s, Husky was preparing for a civil service exam just like Noreen. In the aftermath of the Asian financial crisis in 1997, civil services became popular because they are perceived as stable, and this sparked a new phenomenon in the private education market geared toward the civil service exam in South Korea. Some of my interviews also joined this new trend, while others, like Woo-jin, pursued a career in the popular culture industry, a career Woo-jin expressed an interest in even as we worked on our drama review book. Treasure Island was still working as a kindergarten teacher, but had moved out from her parents' house and was living by herself, enjoying new freedom. Insung, a male graduate student in cultural studies, supplied me with invaluable information and insights to understanding the Ilbe culture through him own and his close male friends' actual stories. My interviews with Insung made me question the definition of a fun that comes without considering political context. The sentiment is something like, well, it isn't politically correct, we know. But so what? It is just for fun. Myungmin wrote his master's thesis on Ilbe.com, in which he analyzed the emotions of Ilbe users within the broader context of prevailing anxiety and fear that emerged from the social mobility of modern society. Myungmin argues that Ilbe or Ilbe users are the subject that can only be created as a result of a successfully operated system. His study suggests conceptualizing this kind of enthusiasm of Ilbe users into cold effervescent, which cannot create a solidarity. When I interviewed him, he was working as a researcher at a research firm based on big data analysis. Myungmin attributes one of the key factors to Ilbe's popularity among young boys in elementary, junior high, and high school to peer culture and peer pressure. After reviewing Myungmin's and Insung's comments, it made me wonder whether the peer culture young boys experience, regardless of whether they won or not, carries over into fun or leisure activities when they become grown-ups. Since we need to invest in and develop our cultural character to enjoy a certain culture, it is unsettling that boys in South Korea invest in male sexist internet cultures as a peer culture while growing up and continue to find enjoyment in these same pursuits even after they become adults. And that a double standard should relegate girls in South Korea to experience entirely different peer cultures. Two of my female interviewees who are users of this insight as well as Megalia show what kind of cultures women and girls can develop in resistance to a male-dominant sexist culture. Sona's story demonstrates the pressure of rigid gender expectations put on women and girls in South Korea. Sona realized just how oppressive South Korean gender norms are by experiencing a different culture during her study abroad in Europe. However, she didn't dream of living abroad because as an Asian woman in Europe, she was exposed to racist attitudes. Instead, she found a support group through a seminar group on women and gender studies on campus. Hanu's story demonstrates the feeling of emancipation Megalian users experience by turning the Ilbe style of male sexism around and using it on men. Despite its harsh and offensive words and attitudes towards men, because of the forum and who is speaking, Megalian users' mirroring words can be interpreted as a performance against patriarchal norms. So, do you see any possibility of politics in the South Korean internet universe? I do. I see possibilities of multiple politics. This insight is a rare online space in which South Koreans have anonymity. Because of its culture of anything goes, it spawned the Ilbe and Megalian cultures. So this insight functions as a space in which we exist with the other people and provides an outlet for competing and completing ideas. On this insight, or even more broadly on the internet, anything goes, whether it is politically correct or not. But those anythings are open to a public with diverse values and backgrounds. This is why I still see the political possibilities of online space. Alton's Carnival is one of the theoretical frameworks I have used to analyze the cultures of this insight and broader online communities. While Bautin's medieval carnival was a temporary space, online carnivals have a permanent space. Therefore, the internet and online communities offer a space in which the dominant power of a given time is contested, negotiated, and reshaped all the time. As conceptualized by Langshed, the internet community changed the distribution of sensible by transcending the limit of time and space, merging the online and offline worlds, and combining individual lives and experiences together into collective ones. This blurring of boundaries resembles what Georg Simmel and other scholars like Joshua Barker define as the politics of sociability. By extension, the politics of the internet as a new medium of sociability can be situated by virtue of its connectivity as a form of a free and equal association, which also facilitates the distribution of various experiments, including the leisure aesthetics of this insight. Thank you.